Pete Peters, we're going to bring you into this conversation. I think we finally got the audio issues fixed with you. If you're listening in, let's have you kind of weigh into specifically that exact issue. What are your thoughts in terms of what's happening a couple days from now? Does Trump take it? And if Biden does get in, does he serve you in a full term?
Yeah, well, compared to 2016, like I had a gut feeling going into it. I'm like, okay, in my gut, I feel like Trump's going to landslide. He's just going to knock her out because speaking of like running on conspiratorial, as the other man was saying, you know, Hillary's whole platform was conspiracy, right? Trump's going to deport every single Mexican. You know, he's going to put you guys in cages. You know, he's going to become the next Hitler. It was like pure conspiracy coming from the left. And they haven't stopped screeching since. And the same thing with Joe Biden. You know, he's running off of the conspiratorial thing. He's putting every single body on Trump. There's going to be millions of more people that die. So it's really, you know, if you have a problem with conspiracy, you know, the left is really pumping them out there. And it's funny to touch on the QAnon thing as well. I've never seen a political party, that being the Democrat, be so upset with a group of people that just have problem with pedophiles. They just have problems with pedophiles. That's it. And then they somehow have a problem with that. That's pretty weird. And also just to touch on the wildfires as well. The wildfires, just real quick, I'm not trying to shut anybody down. I was actually in a town here in Southern Oregon when these wildfires went down. I was evacuated out of the fire before it got to my neighborhood. And let me tell you, I want you to go ahead and Google this, guys, everyone listening. Michael Bacala. He was one of the arsonists that was in our town lighting a house on fire, okay, in the midst of these fires. The original fire was being investigated as a homicide, started allegedly as a body burning. This isn't just global warming. This isn't climate change. No, this is politicians and media standing on the burning homes of people in these neighborhoods, in these areas. I've seen these people, they're destroyed. And these people are not saying climate change. You know what they're saying? They're saying arsonists. We've lived here for 20, 30 years. We've never seen fires like this. I'm in this town. I lived through it. I was in a fifth wheel on a friend's home because I was evacuated from my house. Like, I saw it go down, dude. It wasn't climate change. I know you got some smoke in Seattle, but that was from my neighborhood. It wasn't climate change, dude. It was literally arsonists. It was all up and down the highways of I-5.
It was from Eastern Washington. It was from BC. It was all around us is where we were getting it from. So, yeah, I mean, it was down there as well. I mean,
but it stopped at the Canadian border, though. It stopped at the Canadian border, though. You notice that.
If you've lived in the Pacific Northwest for any amount of time, you'll notice that the summers are drier here now, right?
I mean, not necessarily, man. What I was just noticing was that we had rain all the way to June. It was insane. I was saying this is the wettest summer of my life. And then I wake up to take a leak because, I'm in the country. I take a leak outside near my favorite tree and I see the wind blowing and I smell smoke. I said, you know what? This does have something that's going to lead to fires. But when you wake up the next day and you see how fast they spread in a matter of time, and then you see reports of arsonists being arrested, and then you go on Twitter and you try to mention arsonists, they call you a conspiracy theorist, they call you a right-wing nut, when in reality, all you got to do is talk to the police officers like I did. You can look at the ones in your state. I don't know how to pronounce the city, Polyup. This guy filmed himself lighting a fire on the interstate, and he was seen at a Black Lives Matter protest. But if you speak about these things, you're deemed a conspiracy theorist and a right-wing nut job. So, just to touch on the fires, I really think it's deeper than just climate change, because climate change always has a monetary value attached to it. They want us little people to stop driving the cars, stop flying on the planes, when in reality, the people saying it own the planes. They own the gasoline companies. So I'm all for the topic of climate change as long as you're not trying to shut me down, which is the small person, right? I don't own the corporations. I don't have private jets. Don't shut me down. Don't shut the common man down.
Billy,
I just want to piss outside again. I just miss pissing outside. I'm a city boy. If I got to go outside, I can't piss next to my favorite tree. I got to piss next to my favorite homeless person. Now, I'm a little jealous. You got freedom.
You got to smell. You got to smell it out here. And
so when you define QAnon, you define them as an organization who just wants to stop pedophilia?
I wouldn't even define them as an organization. We're talking about like soccer moms that like post memes most of the time, or like conspiratorial thinking. The whole argument against QAnon is that it leads to dangerous activities. You know what leads to dangerous activities? All this fake news that we're seeing nonstop in the media, stirring up racial division, sowing major problems politically, polarizing both sides. Okay, so it's not little QAnon spreading memes about, hey, Hunter Biden's a pedophile. They're right about that.
I don't completely disagree with what you're saying, but I'm saying it is kind of distorting it to say that all they are is just people that hate pedophiles, right?
I don't even see how you could be against something like that.
That's why, right? You have to look at the base here. People are all pretty much anti-pedophilia, right? That's the way it is.
Right.
Now QAnon built its platform on. Are they? I mean, come on.
Look at the California law. Look at the law in California. No, look at the law in California that Gavin Newsom just signed into law, stating that as long as they're 10 years younger than you, it's okay. So yeah, pedophiles are actually being normalized in these areas.
But now that law was already legal for straight people in that situation. This was just to even up the homosexual people. Yeah, it was making it so homosexuals be equal to straight people. So there's a questionable intent there.
Let me
10 years different.
Let me jump in real quick. Just jump in real quick to say two things. Number one, yes, you guys are absolutely right. The law in California specifically already allowed this for heterosexual relationships. It did not allow it for homosexual relationships. True.
Let's make it right.
Two, it's also true that rather than fixing the law and saying, well, you can't be 10 years older than a 14-year-old and still do this, they just said, let's open it up to everyone. And there was criticism there. So that's a whole other debate. I also want to mention that the opinions of the guests on this show are their opinions and not those of those of us who are doing this.
I should have said
we got to throw in that disclaimer.
I'm sorry, guys.
Let me come back real quick. Let me come back real quick, though, to the presidential part of it, because what you guys are starting to touch on is a very legitimate concern that really is among a lot of Trump supporters, right? They really believe that when you were saying, Billy, before Pete came on, there's like, who's going to take this over? Because a lot about Trump is a conspiracy. That's true, right? There are a lot of people. I don't like the Trump conspiracy because the reality is there are a lot of conspiracies that are real things that really do happen and really people conspiring to do things. That's happening around us all the time. But I think that you are right that there is a selection of people who are absolutely gung-ho for Trump, and they believe that he is bigger than what he has told us that he is. On the other side of it, there are people who say he's much worse than what he has ever admitted that he is. So on one side, it's like he's Hitler. On the other side, he's a savior. And what's really interesting to me, and I want you guys to go, you can jump back in and I'll sit back and eat the popcorn and watch, but Biden is not that. He has no one excited about him or greatly fearing him. He's like the most obsolete candidate that no one really cares about. And so the people on either side, they hate Trump or they love Trump. They're all fighting. And Biden's like kind of wearing his sunglasses and hiding behind his mask and just kind of waiting to see if he gets in because these two sides blow each other up. You guys go at it.
Well, Biden's sitting back eating his ice cream and kissing 12-year-olds, right? Like sniffing on 12-year-olds. It's very. But Biden's on camera being creepy. That bothers the shit out of me. Nobody cares. We have Tara Reid on tonight, and she's telling everybody, she tried to step out, and the same people who were down Kavanaugh's throat are like, oh no, it's not your time. It's not your time. Just sit back. Well, we wanted to hang Kavanaugh. Didn't work, by the way. This Me Too movement seems to be only effective against Al Franken. Who else in politics has actually stepped down or anything from any of this? It's ridiculous.
I will say this: the host was saying that Trump supporters or not you, I may have been the drunken peasant fella. That Trump supporters aren't worried about Joe Biden. That this is like an obsolete candidate. Actually, there's a lot of people worrying about what would happen if Joe Biden got presidency. These are gun owners, because Joe Biden has specifically said, he's coming for quote unquote assault weapons. Why do you need 30-round magazines? People are worried about the online censorship that's going to run rampant, because we already see that happening now. People are worried about having to wear masks indefinitely. People are worried about him being okay with 8-year-olds having child sex changes. He said that on the town hall meeting that he had 2 weeks ago. He said that's okay. People were worried about him bowing to the mobs of rioters, China, enabling Antifa, because remember he said it's just an idea. There's a lot of worry about if Joe Biden wins 4 years. I mean, he's probably not going to last 4 years. Like they said, he's probably going to be like 4 months, and then they're going to put Kamala in. But there's a lot of worry, man. You know, I like Trump because I just feel like he's going to leave me the hell alone. He's going to leave me and my family alone. But Biden and Kamala Harris, it just seems like they want to micromanage every part of our life.
Ben,
going back to what was asked earlier before we address what he was saying, I'm not excited about Biden at all. I have voted Democrat a few times. I didn't vote Democrat in the last presidential election. Biden on the ballot might as well just say not Trump, because most people are voting not Trump when they vote for Biden. A lot of it has to do with they just personally, I mean, they don't like his policy, but Trump is an abrasive personality to a lot of people, and he comes across as arrogant to a lot of people.
Well, he's a big personality.
Yes. Yeah, and he's an entertainer, and he is entertaining.
So if you like him or don't like him, yeah, he's the show.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he has a great energy. You know, that's that dragon energy. I just can't see people being excited for Joe Biden, being excited for his policies. I mean, when you ask somebody, hey, if they're a Trump supporter, hey man, I got 2 tickets to go to this Trump rally. You gonna go? They're gonna be like, hell yeah. But dude, I have never met anybody that I can go, hey man, I got these 2 tickets to this Kamala Harris rally with Joe Biden. You want to go? No one. I've met nobody. Okay, so that's why I think the polls are wrong. It's not only the images that you see at these Trump rallies, because anybody can go, right? That could just mean less excited. But when you see things like record number gun sales to single moms, or you see record number gun sales amongst African Americans during all these COVID lockdowns and these riotings, it just says like, again, I don't want to go with a gut feeling. It just says Trump's going to win. And that is because the country is worried about just handing over power to somebody that has no known corruption coming from multiple different countries, has a son that is on camera smoking meth with, I guess, a prostitute having sex.
Hey, if that was
Don Jr., if that was Don Jr., Trump would be impeached right now. The double standard is what people are voting against right now. People are voting against that double standard where it's okay if my son smokes crack in China doing a shady deal, getting a foot job, smoking crack. But if your son does that, no, I'm shutting you down and you'll never be able to run. Like it's insane. And that's what people are voting against, is this double standard.
All right, so I suppose I suspect that you believe that Trump wins next week. Do you think he'll win?
I want to believe it, man. You know, I want to believe it. I want him to win. But, you know, I just don't want to jinx it. Like I said, I don't have that gut feeling yet. I just have faith in the American people that through the last 7 months of these lockdowns, of these chop zones that are in drunken peasants' hometown, you know, these insane violence that we're seeing across these rallies and these restrictions that we put on our business. I mean, people are suffering. And if they vote for people that want to bring more suffering in, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say anything. I think I'm just going to carve out my little nest and just search for happiness and just unplug from this crap, because I had lost, I lost faith in people at that point. I don't know how you could want more regulations.
How does it make you feel knowing that only a few states actually choose the president, and that, you know, you live in Oregon, so your vote, you know, for Trump is being swallowed up in the Electoral College by all the blue there?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm for the Electoral College because I would never be in favor of California. Yeah, I am. I am.
Trump wouldn't have won if it was for Electoral College.
Yeah, he wouldn't have won. Well, Hold on, though. Trump didn't want the Electoral College like 12 years ago.
Well, I'm not. parroting what Trump likes, and I'm not saying this because Trump won. I'm saying this because I would never want to live in a country where the majority rules, okay? That would completely take out the minority's voice. And if you can brainwash people into hitting the streets and beating the shit out of people because they think you're a Nazi or they think you're a racist, a cop supporter or whatever, they can definitely brainwash the majority into some really crazy stuff. And all I'm saying is I don't want California and New York to determine the election every year. I think that would be messed up. I don't believe in ultimate democracy. I don't. I really don't.
It's only people in like 4 different states that get to really choose.
Well, I like the illusion. I don't want to change it.
I like wearing the mask.
I like
guys, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much tonight for being a part of this conversation and this podcast. We appreciate all of you. Pete, Billy, and Ben, thanks so much. Guys, that is our podcast for you for tonight. Now, remember, there are still a few days left before the election takes place. November 3rd, of course, is the date. We will be back with you holding a special podcast the night after the election to dissect all that's gone on. Who knows? Maybe we'll know by that time who the president is. Maybe we won't. Time remains to be seen. We will let you know, of course, and of course we'll be with you. As I said, 8 p.m. November the 4th, day after the election. I will see you then. If you have not gone out and voted yet, please make sure you vote. Have a great night.